gonna pet this weird little. I'm gonna pet this weird little
Hello.
figurine. My mouth always works. Yep.
All right.
It's because it's your camera. It's gonna show your mouth moving. It's weird. Do 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 do. Whoopsie. I'm on the
Hello.
page, but I have not seen. There it is. Resident Evil 4 in VR. Gorilla Tag. You can still edit that after the fact, so you can still edit it now. All right, I'm going to pop this out. He played Solaris. I played Puzzle Bobble VR Vacation Odyssey. I played the most exciting game you've ever heard of. Do you want the names to show in the live stream? Because you can turn that off if you want, Rip. Yeah.
Love the thumbnail. Gorilla tag.
We're taking it back. I need to figure out why I'm getting a very slight echo on you, Rip, because I've got you muted in Rec Room. I've got Rec Room audio off.
I'm not hearing anything.
I've got everything turned off, so I'm not sure where the heck this is. It is your voice, but it's like very instant. Like it's barely after the fact. Like it's not like it's a second mic or something. It's like just I can ignore it. It's not very noticeable. It's just odd. I don't know why it's happening. Hopefully Zencaster isn't getting it. That's all that matters. Who's the new guy? It's Will. It's me and Will so far.
Very active. I'll tweet it out, see if anyone will come in.
I'll go post it on my Discord too. We'll get some people here. I got a YouTube notification, so that's a good sign. Got it. We're all so quiet. If people show up, they're gonna be like, "Why is it so quiet?" Hi, everybody. If you wanted to turn names off, Rip, you got to go to Settings, Advanced, and then turn off Show Names. I can also look and tell you for sure if that's right here in just a second. Let me look at mine and I'll find it. That'll make it a little easier. Settings, Advanced. There's 2 pages to advance. It's on the first page. There's Show Names at the bottom. It's a click button. Hey, Cat Nick's here. There's arrows at the bottom of the advanced section. If you're still in the stream mixer, you might have to hit back and get back to the main settings screen. At the top right, there's a back button. And then show names, you can turn that off. Right. the Millennium Falcon and the lights are a little distracting, but it's all good.
Party in here.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, DM'd on rec, did not know he was part of the cast today and thought he was not busy. I don't think you need to apologize for that wish. Hi.
Wait, what?
What's up, Namo Fuser? There's 9 people here at the moment. Will Wish says he's sorry he DM'd you. He didn't think you were busy. He didn't know you were going to be on the podcast.
It's no problem.
I like smashed my pinky into my hand today, and I'm trying to decide if my knuckle's a little broken or not. It really, really hurt when I did it, and it's still bugging the crap out of me right now. I think it's just jammed. I don't think there's a break in there because I can't find a spot that hurts, but the whole thing just hurts. Full
Trying to make
dive
my hands
podcast.
look normal. They're drifting. I do. This show doesn't use scripts though, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. I've done 150 reviews and I still have to edit out like 3 minutes of mistakes in a 5-minute review.
There's a nice doorway to you. I see all of you, but it's a doorway. Aww. Make sure when you introduce yourself, well, you get really close to the microphone here so they can hear you. Okay. All right.
All right. The real one or the fake one?
This one right here. Just...
Hello guys.
Oh, that it actually worked.
Accidentally hit it though. Or ran into it.
I am
Ready as
so
I'll ever
ready.
be.
I need to fart, but I don't know if the mic's gonna pick it up. You like how I whispered that so no one could hear it but you guys?
Yeah. So glad.
That's how it works, right? Okay. Oh yeah, make sure you do it on Zencaster. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Lovely. This wasn't part of the script, right?
Nice. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, Cat. You didn't hear a thing.
What?
Just do your thing. Don't worry about us. I don't even know where Will's hands are. Will's hands are missing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just turned up my live stream on my phone to see, and I don't think they heard any of all that stuff you just said. It's weird because I hear you fine.
Oh,
Okay, well, I'll give him a quick rundown while you figure that out of what you said. So Rip was there's such a delay. I have to wait so long.
what the? I flew out of the building.
I'll give him a quick rundown while you figure that out of what you said. So Rip was No, they still can't hear you. It's so weird though, because they can see your mouth like signs from your camera, but they can't hear you. All right. You play around with it. I will give them a quick rundown. So basically, what he was saying when you couldn't hear him all that time is that this is first and foremost, this is a podcast. We love having you here live and seeing your comments in the chat, but we won't necessarily be able to answer every comment or talk to everyone. What we do like to do, if we give you an opening, if there's like, hey, here's a question or something, and you want to throw a comment in there, we might bring it into the podcast. But first and foremost, we got to focus on the podcast. So hang out with us. We love that. And then after the podcast, once the podcast is over, we stay on a little bit and talk to whoever's still here and wants to ask questions and all that, especially that guy's Will's here. You can ask any PSVR question. He knows everything about PSVR,
I
right,
know
Will?
literally everything, every fact ever.
Absolutely everything. What is the best game on PSVR by far?
Let me check the script real quick. Resident Evil 7.
Oh, okay, never mind. He
Thanks for
doesn't know.
putting that
He
in
doesn't
there.
know anything about PSVR.
Oh, you put that
I
in
was
there. You
wrong.
wrote that down.
I did not write anything down.
Yeah, you're right. There's
If you-
no script. I forgot.
uh, yeah, I'll do that right after that. Have we? Turn my phone back. Oh, are you? Have you? Do you have it set to two separate audio tracks? Oh, they hear. Hang on. I think they hear you now. Let me look at the live stream. Because it looked like you just. I swear I just heard you. The delay. Audio tracks. They hear. Hang on. I think they hear you. No. For a second, I swear I heard you though. If you have it to separate audio tracks, I don't think it matters with streaming, but maybe it's trying to put your audio somewhere else. I don't know. Go to the gear cog on your sources, right click on the gear cog, go to advanced audio properties, and then you should be able to see what all tracks it's going to. Yeah. Yeah, set them all to one and
Okay. Does that fix things? Testing, testing. Please tell me you can hear me. Audio view. Why am I doing pointers?
set them all to one. If you have pointers, you have to click the top button on each controller to undo the pointers.
Thank you.
Oh God, yes, it fixed it.
Oh, good.
It fixed it.
Oh,
Good.
good. All right, I'm a little loud compared to you guys.
Woo!
Testing. Still a little loud. Testing. Testing. Now I'm a little quiet. It's very. You guys say stuff so we can compare levels.
Testing,
So,
testing,
All right,
test,
cool.
tick, hold.
I
testing.
think we're about the same now. Maybe a little quiet. All right. What I would give for a real-time compressor. All right. I mean, technically, I could do that if I wanted to spend 30 minutes setting that up. All
Who
right.
has 30 minutes?
All right. Glad you guys can finally hear me. Jay already gave you guys the rundown. One thing I think he missed, we are going to be asking the question for the Q&A, what our favorite shooters are that have that are focusing on pistols, right, as opposed to two-handed um, two-handed weapons. What VR shooters focus on handguns? That's gonna be an upcoming question. If you guys want to start answering that now, I'll make sure that then it'll be nice and ready, and I can put your guys' answers and call them out um, in our Q&A section. So we'll have our answers, and we'll also have yours if you get yours in. In the meantime, we are going to start the podcast. Everyone ready?
So ready.
Yes.
Sweet. Audience, you ready?
Oh, I
Cool.
just hit the wall.
Yeah. All right, let's begin. Welcome to the Full Dive Gaming Podcast, bringing a weekly dive of all the news, discussion, and condensed nerd talk you need for virtual reality gaming. I love your little jig you're doing, Jay. All the condensed nerd talk you need for virtual reality gaming every well, not every Friday right now. We're kind of we've got a bit of fluctuation. We have been off for a month. It was a very slow spring for VR, and we just kind of needed, we've been doing this basically a year now.
It's
So
over a year.
it's over a
It's
year now.
official.
It's officially
It's
over
official.
a year. So we it's a long time for every week to be releasing an episode. So we took our break, and we are now back in the swing of things. So we'll give you guys a new schedule as soon as it comes out. But in the meantime, I'm Rip McAfee. I'm the producer and the editor of this podcast. And these are my lovely friends.
I'm Jay Brat. I'm a VR YouTuber and streamer. And speaking of YouTube, we have a special guest here, PSVR channel host. That guy is Will VR. Welcome back to the podcast. Will, remind everybody who you are.
Hello, I am that guy. I'm Will. I do YouTube reviews focused on PSVR and all that kind of stuff, discussion videos, live streams. But yeah, I basically just copy Jay Brat's videos, look at what's most popular on his channel, and do it for PSVR.
You're one of a couple of people. There's actually, I swear, a few people on my Discord. I've seen them posting videos, and they've stolen my exact titles.
Oh
so,
my goodness.
trying to catch. I don't know. Trying to do something there. I'm okay with it. Well, thank you, Will. Rip. What is our podcast here to do?
Our podcast is here to keep you guys up to date. We answer questions from our Discord and Patreon communities, and then we follow up with some of the latest and greatest VR news. We got some good stuff. It's been a month, so we've got some good news to tell you guys now after a collective month. And then we'll discuss the games we've played for the last, well, usually it's a week. Again, it's a month now. If you missed our last live stream, it's on our YouTube channel. Same with podcast services are self-explanatory. If you haven't seen our YouTube channel, we're live streaming right now. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel, see our lovely virtual reality faces, see our rude hand gestures, the whole lot. It's happening. We will be interacting with chat as we go through the podcast as much as possible. But we'll try to keep the podcast listeners in the loop. With that, we can hop into our Q&A. We've got our question today from Bran Mallon. Jay, you want to tell him what that's
he
about?
asks, okay, so I finally got around to playing Arizona Sunshine, even though I normally hate shooters, and I fell in love with VR handgun shooting. Still feeling my way through two-handed guns in another game, though, so my question is, are there VR shooters that focus on handguns, other than Super Hot, if that even counts? They don't have a big enough play space for it right now. They keep knocking stuff off. Are there VR shooters that are focused on handguns? So I get to answer first, I guess, here. So the obvious one is Pistol Whip.
Right.
There's no such thing as two-handed guns in that game. It's available on every VR platform. It's awesome. It is more of a rhythm-based game than really a shooter, but it is just an absolute blast. Uh, well, there's got to be some other ones that are mostly focused around single-handed weapons. What can you think of some?
No,
Simple answer, simple man. No.
no idea.
Well, it's funny because they said Arizona Sunshine, and I was thinking about how I played Arizona Sunshine with the aim controller, so I only played with two-handed weapons when I played it.
Right.
It drove me crazy playing with pistols.
I bet.
I'm trying to think of full actual games because, like, I think about like games like Hot Dog, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades that
Right.
have both kinds of guns and stuff, but like actual full-length games that
Well,
are more focused on pistols.
Here's the thing. I was thinking about this, and actually, my favorite game is technically one-handed weapons, and that is, and you wouldn't think of it, Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx
Mhm.
never puts you with two-handed weapons. They were smart. They knew we need to make this game fun first and foremost. They'd
Yeah.
seen Boneworks, which was kind of its VR predecessor. They went, okay, two-handed weapons are kind of jank in VR. So
Yep.
every weapon in Half-Life Alyx you use with one hand, and they keep it. It's super smooth. It just you're holding like shotguns and rifles, but because it's an SMG, because it's a small shotgun, and they allow you to interact with it by like having really interesting reloading functions. So you're using that other hand throughout the process, but you're aiming with one hand only, and it keeps it very, very tight and smooth the entire gameplay experience because of that. So
Yeah.
that was my example.
Yep. So Will's the only one that didn't bring anything to the table. Thanks,
I'm
Will.
sorry. I'm so
glad
sorry.
I'm glad we had you here with this question being our major Q&A question, and you just have no answers.
Bye, guys. This is probably my last episode on the show. Thanks for watching.
Well, we love you anyways. What if you're out there and you're watching the live stream, you have any games you can think of, let us know. Maybe we'll pop back to this question a little later if someone brings up a good one and lets us know there.
Yeah, give us some interesting ones we haven't thought of. I mean, there's several we haven't mentioned, but these are our favorites.
There's a lot, but there are also a lot of them are wave shooters. So I think about like
Right.
Space Pirate Trainer
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
what was that one, that Bullet Hell one that was kind of cool? It's like
Blasters of the Universe?
Yeah, Blasters of the Universe. They're like that, but I'm trying to think of like actual games where you go through shooting, and so many of them rely on two-handed guns as one of the main ones. So yeah, it's a tough
Right.
question, but at least we gave you a few answers.
Yeah, pistol whip of all the games will train your, especially if you turn on the mode that makes it so it doesn't have like the auto aim functions. Man, you got to work on your one-handed shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much less fun that way.
Yeah, well, that's the only way to play, man. The only way. But then you have to give yourself like two pistols to like have accuracy through volume. All right.
Quantity over quality of gunshots. I like it.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna move us on to our news segment. Our first news piece is the big one of the past month. HTC had their, what is it, ViveCon?
ViveCon, their Vive conference is what it's short for.
Right.
And more as these things go on, I just keep coming to expect less of them. But at least this time they gave us some new big announcements. So for those of you who don't know what is Vive, what is that? HTC, one of the biggest names in the virtual reality space for the first couple years of VR. They made the HTC Vive, and it revolutionized and changed a lot about VR. It had perfect tracking. Its wands were kind of weird. They still didn't have analog sticks. But HTC was like the biggest name for a long time because they were first to market with hand controllers. They were just first to market with a lot of great things. Well, since then, they haven't made as much of a splash. A lot of their headsets haven't been as big. So they said, hey, we're coming back. We're going to throw some amazing stuff out there. And they told us they're going to drop the HTC Vive Pro 2. Now, there's been a Vive Pro model. This Vive Pro 2 just expands upon kind of what it is. So it's got super high resolution. It's got like 2448 by 2448 per eye, 120 hertz refresh rate, 120 degree field of view. It still uses the same controllers.
I know,
as the
that's what
previous Vives.
blew my mind. That they're still using the Vive wand.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The Vive one's not a terrible controller,
It's a
but
terrible
how many
controller.
years old is it now? Like, it's good for Beat Saber. Supposedly, they say that's like the best one.
That's the
But-
only thing that
Right.
game is good for, is beats.
is those controllers. Well, the nice thing about this being the case, if you already own a Vive, if you own an Index, you've got the base stations and the controllers already that'll work. You can buy just the headset, $800. It's not super cheap, but this is going to be like the highest graphical capability headset on the market right now when
Right.
this thing launches next month. If you don't have any of that though, you're gonna be dropping $1,400 for your 2 sensors, your 2 Vive ones. They don't even give you the knuckle controllers with these, and the headset. It's a lot.
Yeah. Like I understand, like obviously they'll continue to be a market for these high end, um, like not quite consumer, more in like the enthusiast market is where this is priced for, and
Right.
and we don't have enough consumer. I had some friends I was arguing with this. They're like, well, it's like it's a good headset. People will still buy it. I'm like, that's not the point. Of course, people will still buy it. Pimax still is around. Clearly, people buy really high end headsets, but we need cheaper headsets. And also, we need better controllers. Good lord. I was more mad at the controllers than I was at the price point with this thing.
I think the controllers are the shocker, but Will is a PSVR guy, but he's joining us tonight on an original Oculus Rift. Will, is this going to get you out of your Oculus Rift? You can get a Vive Pro 2.
No, I guess I'm staying with this thing till it dies.
I know.
You know, I think this just shows that they're really going for something different than, companies like Oculus or PlayStation, where they're going for, get as many people into VR as they can for a cheap price. They're more going for, a very specific group of VR enthusiasts that are looking for the best experience they can get, which I think is great, but, I personally just don't have an interest in spending that much for a headset. Uh, but yeah.
Well, it's a
Katanic
big chunk.
Katanic asks
go ahead.
us, can you hook up index? Oh, excuse me. Can you hook up index controllers with the Vive Pro 2?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the whole same kit. It's all interchangeable. The thing about it, if you had been at ViveCon, I obviously went virtual. You can't be there right now. You wouldn't think this is even a consumer headset. The whole thing was so business focused.
Yeah.
And like you wouldn't even think that people are going to buy this to game on it still, but they're really leaning hard on the business side, and they're kind of like, I wouldn't say forgetting the consumers, but they're not really aiming at consumers anymore. I think the problem is the Quest 2 has taken the consumer industry so hard because it's so cheap that Vive is trying to like find out, where do we live in this market.
Yeah.
They also announced the Vive Focus 3 headset. So at first glance, you would think that the Vive Focus 3 is a Quest competitor. It's got inside-out tracking. It's got a 90 hertz refresh rate, 120-degree field of view, but it has 4 cameras that are inside-out cameras that actually look out and do the inside-out tracking. The controllers, I feel like Oculus could sue them if they wanted to. How
I know.
close these look to Quest controllers. It's like you took your Quest controller and added another inch of length to it, and that's the only difference.
It looks exactly like them.
Yeah,
Right.
this is a fully built-in headset. It's using the same processor that the Quest 2 uses, but unlike the Quest 2, the processor on the Quest 2 is underclocked because it can't cool very effectively. They've put in a whole fan system in the Vive Focus 3, so they're going to be able to be pushing this processor a lot harder. It's going to have all kinds of business software. There's a business marketplace where you can pay a subscription to use business apps. Again, business.
Jeez.
8 I want to verify that the prices are, because I'm not sure if this comes.
My
Yeah,
these
I
are
think
not
it's
accurate. It's 1300
yeah, yeah,
for the let me see
and that's. Can you buy it without the controllers for this Vive Focus?
let me
I
check.
I don't remember that part, but basically this is a business headset. It's at least going to cost you $800 to get this thing. And Will, you own a Quest. What do you think about this?
I actually I'm not as informed about the Focus, so really I'm not actually too sure about how different it is from the basic Vive headsets.
It's going to be their own XR2, all included in itself headset. And the funny thing is, it again, they're going after business here, but I don't understand why, besides the price point, that they wouldn't focus these on consumers, because people want a headset they don't have to have Facebook with.
Right.
But
This
you're
is not only $100 cheaper, but it's got better controllers. It's got inside-out tracking, which is far less of a hassle to set up. Why can't they just make this available to consumers? I don't understand. What is HTC doing? Oh, jeez. It also
I'm sure you can buy it. I'm sure you can buy it, but they're not targeting it at
yeah,
it at all.
they said the company would not confirm if a this is from Upload VR actually. The company would not confirm if a oh wait, that's that's right, wrong text. Um, it will be sold to businesses, though HTC says it will also be available on quote some consumer channels end quote for smaller outlets to purchase.
So it won't be easy to get one if you
No,
even can afford to get one.
right, but
I
these look so much like the Quest controllers. It's crazy.
They are like almost identical. I'm just frustrated about all this because I feel like this is kind of HTC's MO in the past, like even in the cell phone market and stuff. They come in, they make something really innovative and amazing, and we all go, "Oh my gosh, HTC, what are you doing?" And then they just rely on that one thing they made and never innovate again.
Yeah.
Uh I mean, this is still the same controllers. We're talking the same old haptics, which are just vibrations in those controllers.
Hmm.
The same controllers, the same feel. Really, all you're getting is just a better definition in the screens. And they said it's a little more comfy. The audio is a little better, but like, there's nothing really innovative or new. It's just
Right.
getting slightly better specs. So that's a hard sell
I
at
don't
$800 or
yeah,
yeah,
especially if you don't have the full kit. I would still get an index kit easily over this, almost
yeah.
entirely because of the controllers. The Vive wands, if you guys haven't used them, they're kind of awful. They're they're awkward to use. You're constantly pressing the grip button when you don't mean to. They have no joysticks. They're not well designed. Um, and a huge part of buying an index is not only a great headset, but also fantastic controllers.
Yep.
So and you only have to spend $1,000. You spend only $1,000, and I think you've got a much better setup. This thing has better resolution. I forget what the refresh rate is on the index. Is it
It's like
also?
140 or something. It's something really high.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wanted to say it goes up to 144, but it's at least more than 120. It's at least just as good as this, if not better. I might be thinking of the degree. The field of view is like
Yeah, it's not.
130.
Uh,
It's still higher than the HTC too. So
Jeez.
like it's really graphical fidelity. That's the only thing this Vive Pro 2 is bringing to the PC VR market. But again, they're going for business, so maybe they look at this differently. Maybe they don't care what they're competing with because these other headsets aren't focused on businesses. I,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
At least I remember back when it was just basically the main two headsets for the Rift and the Vive,
Yep.
the first Vive, and people, it was really split, or even more so on the Vive of consumers buying Vives because it really had it all. There was
Yeah.
the point where the Rift didn't even come with the touch controllers. People were using keyboards and Xbox controllers and whatnot.
Right.
Yep.
So it's kind of sad to see them just kind of slowly fade away from the VR scene. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yeah.
We were. I mean, we knew we were expecting a Vive Pro 2 with ViveCon. I think. It'd been a while since they've updated it, but we were. I think I can safely say everyone was hoping that Vive would, come out with a really good entry level VR headset. Because currently it's pretty much just the only headset I can recommend now for PC VR that's like quote consumer friendly, and it barely is the HP Reverb. Because the Rift S is getting completely discontinued and losing its support, so I can't recommend that anymore. And that's basically it. So it's just the HP Reverb G2. That or you get a Quest and use Oculus Link, which is not great.
Yeah, the lack of innovation here leads us to something at least more exciting in the VR realm. We got some PSVR 2 leaks that have
That's
come
true.
out from a lot of reputable sources. All the VR news outlets are reporting on these, even though Sony themselves has not substantiated it yet. PSVR 2, we got some specs finally. We don't know what the headset looks like, but we're looking at like 4.1 megapixel per eye resolution. So that's 2000 by 2040. It's
Hmm.
going to have an IPD adjustment dial. So not software IPD adjustments, an actual physical dial that you change it with.
Thank
Eye
goodness.
tracking capable of foveated rendering. That's a pretty big deal for a PS5. Eye tracking. For those out there who don't know, foveated rendering is when it can see exactly where your eye is focusing, and it gives it the best graphical fidelity in that zone because your eye
Oh.
doesn't notice that outside of that things are blurrier and fuzzier. It doesn't matter. So this is where they can really take the horsepower of the PS5 and put some serious graphical power into it because it's going to be saving on the rest of the screen where it's doing that.
Mm.
There's still some more there, but I feel like that's a lot to break down. Even Will, you're a PSVR guy. How welcome was this news to you?
I really don't take leaks too seriously, so I'm not really sure what to think about it, but I'm just wondering, people are thinking, PSVR 2 is going to be the second coming. It's going to be the greatest thing of all time. It's going to have this and that. I'm like, are they going to be able to keep it around that cheap $300 to $400 price range?
Hmm.
And on top of that, most people don't have a PS5, so they're going to have to spend, close to $1,000. Like, how
Mhm.
many people are going to be able to get in if they go crazy like that? I
Right.
mean, personally, I'll buy anything they put out, so they've got me. If it's like, $1,000 headset, I better start saving. But
It's
you
unlikely
know,
to happen, but imagine how crazy it'd be if this thing was PC VR compatible. Which
I
would
kind of
not be unprecedented because the
yeah.
controllers do plug into PCs.
I kind of wonder why it wouldn't. Like the only reason it wouldn't be is because they don't want to, because it
Right.
easily could. I mean, they say this thing's gonna have a USB-C to USB tether, so right there it could plug into a PC. Inside
Hmm.
out tracking, so no more sensors to deal with, none of that. But
Right.
one of the craziest things, head mounted haptics. They're talking about having a vibration motor in the headset too
Ooh.
now. So not only do we know the PSVR 2 controllers are going to have the amazing haptics from the PS5, the adaptive triggers, but now you're talking being able to feel something in the headset too. That is innovation. That is what gets me excited about VR and gets
Hmm.
me excited to see a headset.
Right.
Uh, my big question though, and my worry is if this thing dropped this summer, is this thing dropped this Christmas, it would be amazing. We know it's not coming in 2021 though. Like if this comes out Christmas of 2022, what is gonna have beat this to the table by then? That's what I'm
There's not a whole lot else being released right now,
not
so
not right now. We need a surprise. We need some kind of surprise.
the deck could get
Uh
it.
right.
oh gosh, I think that thing's fallen off
Oh
already.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And thinking back on if it part of how Sony's able to sell these headsets for prices like $300, $400, hell even 500, which would be a great price for something of these of the
Yeah,
specs we're seeing. $500 would be a pretty decent sell. And they'd
yeah,
probably still be selling. This is the thing. They're probably selling, not probably. They are selling this hardware at a loss.
yeah,
If they
yeah.
sell these headsets to the PC VR market, they can't do that really. They don't have a Sony market on PC like Steam can sell Index at a slight loss because they've got the Steam VR market and they're expecting people to buy all those games there. If PlayStation tries to make its thing its PC its headset compatible with PC, every headset sold that's not going to use a PlayStation 5 is not making them money unless they buy. No, it's just not making them money.
Right.
So it probably won't, thinking back on it.
I think the last question I want to know here from you, Will, on this, since you're the PSVR guy, PSVR 1 had a lot of critics. A lot of people really didn't like things about it. If every leak and every spec here is correct, will people still have something to complain about? Can you think of anything?
I'm sure they'll always find a way. But I'm looking at you. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, yeah, I mean, I feel like it'd be hard to complain. I'll be going
Hmm.
around bragging to everyone like, "Oh yeah, look at our headset now." But uh, yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't know. I think we got to wait and see how it turns out. Uh, yeah, I'm
Hmm.
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these
this
systems.
puts it
Go ahead.
better screen resolution than the Quest 2, and the only one that has higher pixel density is still the Reverb G2, of course, with its crazy high pixel density. But that's a
Right.
pretty big deal because the Quest 2 is pretty freaking clear.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I'm I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds insane. It would make me want to get a PlayStation. I mean, like I'm already kind of want to get a PlayStation 5. I want to play the next God of War, and I
right.
kind of want to play Last of Us 2. I don't know, not so solid on that one. But the next Horizon Zero, like PlayStation 5 non-VR has some exclusives that will make me at some point jump into the system. I was just gonna wait for it to go on sale. But now that they've got, if this is remotely accurate, that's a very good reason to get a PlayStation, which maybe is what they're banking on. You know, if they can, if they're looking at the PC VR market and going, wow, nothing good is happening there, maybe these guys will, maybe they'll want to pick up a PlayStation for the ultimate VR experience if it's just, if it's not very affordable on PC anymore.
And if they can continue to put out some good exclusives, that'll
Mhm.
really push people to get it.
Right.
I'd
Right.
love to see Resident Evil 8 as a launch title, but that might be wishful thinking.
Mhm.
I feel like that one's possible. It looks like it's designed for VR when you see the gameplay. Like,
Right.
and hopefully they're just holding out for that better headset to actually do it justice.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people buy it for the vampire lady to play in VR.
No.
Oh no. Oh no.
No,
These
No.
that'll
viral
sell some
marketing
headsets.
I
campaigns.
hadn't even thought of that. Oh my goodness. Ah, jeez.
Moving on.
Moving on. I was just about to say. All right, for our next news piece. Not that long ago, excuse me. We here at the podcast, we played Population 1. For those who know, that's a battle royale style, and if you don't know what battle royale is, it's Fortnite. It's basically Fortnite in VR. Um, uh, population. It's a shooter, VR shooter. Um, we played it. I want to say a month and a half ago, and we liked it. I think we said we're probably not going to play more of it. Um, you know, we liked it. We thought it was a good game, but it wasn't quite our game. What I think was kind of our conclusion at the time. Well, Population 1 has had a pretty decent update. Um, First off, they changed and expanded a large part of the map, give it a very like Western feel, like a cartoony Western look. They've increased the lobby count. It was 18 before, which felt pretty good when we were playing, but it's now 24, which is actually a very good lobby size. That's how many teams? So it was 3-person teams, right?
Uh-huh.
It's weird that it's a 3-person. Huh.
So then it's eight
Right,
teams of 3 now instead of
eight,
6.
right.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, especially for the map. You know, keeps things more exciting. They've also introduced a new shotgun and a new harmonica. If I would play it, it might be just to try this out because it sounds fun. A new harmonica item that regenerates allies' shields when you're playing it. So you can't shoot when you're doing this, but you're helping your team. You can kind of become the designated healer.
It's interesting.
It
Yeah.
is interesting.
I've seen a lot of buzz about this, but I have not played this update at all
Mhm.
yet.
It is a free update, by the way. This is completely free, very much like many other shooters, or sorry, not shooters, battle royale shooters. It's a free update, and the paid thing is they've got like the season 2 now battle pass, right? Um, I think everyone's more or less familiar with those by this point. Well, first off, Will, have you played Population 1 yet?
You know what? No. It won't be hard for the viewers to tell I'm the PSVR guy, but uh, yeah, it's something that I keep hearing literally everyone talk about,
Hmm.
and it looks great. I'm just so cheap that I can't bring myself to buy it. But I did play some kind of knockoff what's it, PUBG game on Steam VR. It's like Standout, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say playing a battle royale in VR is it's so much better than non VR, which is pretty much true for every genre. But it was awesome, being able to crouch down on hills and actually having to worry about like, oh, I could die at any second. I might have to restart, and you're listening to the 3D audio and going around,
Hmm.
and there's just more stakes to everything. So I definitely got to check that out sometime.
Yeah, yeah. It's worth checking out because it's a good shooter that's well designed. It's just a matter of like, is it going to be your kind of game? And for a lot of people, it is. Um,
Right,
I like shooters like Onward. That's pretty much the only reason I ended up not sticking to it. So,
right.
Jay, do you think you'd play this now that it's got this update?
I think it's a great game the few times I've played it. My main problem with these kind of games is everybody else gets so good and I don't play them enough that I
Oh
just
my
suck.
God, yeah.
If I had two good teammates that would help carry me a little bit, I would probably get in. But
This is him just complaining about when he played with us.
well, whenever I tend to get in with like new people in these kind
Right.
of games, like we just get wrecked the whole time. So it's not that fun. This is the kind of game that I wish I had been really into it the moment it dropped, because then
Mhm.
I'd probably be getting along with it better.
Right.
But yeah. I'll get back in again, I'm sure, at some point. I don't think this game's going anywhere. I think
Yeah.
for now it's kind of the whole only VR battle royale game we really have. So as long as it stays that way, I'm sure people will keep dragging me into it. And I'll enjoy it every time I get in, but it's not just something I'm going to pick up on my own. Just go, oh, I really want to play this tonight. Like this is when I got to do it with friends.
Right.
Right.
We didn't see, unfortunately, it did not see a huge jump in player count after this update. It's pretty
On
much been
Steam.
on Steam at least. It's
Yeah.
very stagnant. We're seeing a peak of uh it typically peaks anywhere between 110 and 150 players at one time. Now, granted, that is Steam. We know from personal experience there's more people than 120 people playing at one time. I think the Quest numbers are probably outnumber the Steam. So
Yeah.
probably
It's
a
a very
minimum,
quest heavy game.
yeah. So probably a minimum of 300 players at any point. That like 250 to 300 would be my guess, unless it's like really really late at night. Um, so yeah, those in Hawaii would struggle, but um, so long as you're not there, this I don't know. I would have thought, especially because you're right. Well, you like you hear about this game, but I just don't see I don't know or see many people that actually play it unless you actually go to the game itself. Um,
Right.
yeah, but I think I look forward to them getting a better population, but so far it's still on the decline.
Hmm.
Average players 74 on Steam charts. Rough. So
It's
would this
definitely not the Steam. It's definitely not a top Steam thing. Quest people really drive this. I do wonder though. I feel like this update didn't cause a huge splash because like I follow a couple people that this is like their whole thing they do. Is Population 1 is like their main thing on their channel, and it does seem like the heat is cooling. I think that maybe this update didn't deliver exactly what people are looking for, and maybe
right?
they need to focus in on what that is people are looking for. It's tough when it costs so much. That's the big problem. If this game was free, it would have so many people playing it all the time. But just like Will said, he still hasn't bought it because it's not cheap for a,
Hmm.
a battle royale game when almost every other battle royale game we can think of is free.
Right. How much is this game? Do you remember off the top of your head?
It's
I
like
want to say,
$30.
yeah, I think it's $30.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's not a low price, especially when you're afraid, just like most people, a battle royale game. If I don't like it, what's going to happen? Am I going to want to play this? Like, it's it's a tough sell at $30. That's just enough money that if you only play it a few times, you're going to regret the purchase.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
It
think
is $30.
a lot of the popularity seems to be coming from people who are new to VR, so it's kind of hard to tell for people like me, I guess, whether or not it'll be worth it since we've already played so many games. It's
Right.
like how some new players will go in and be like, Job Simulator is like the best VR game ever made. And you're like, yeah, it's good. It's fun. Uh,
Yeah,
but
definitely the more you play VR and the longer you play it, at some points like you begin to realize just how much of this stuff is fairly bare bones, as in
right.
good for a VR game does not mean good for a game in general.
Yeah.
It becomes very true.
Speaking of that, we got to talk about games.
We do have to talk about games. We've played some games that hopefully are not just tech demos.
Where's the door?
Oh no. On that segue, Jay has played. I just can't get over this name. Puzzle Bobble VR Vacation Odyssey.
Yep.
Oh,
Woo!
is this a light novel title? Because that's what it looks like.
This is based on. I was reading about this is based on an old Japanese game, but it's also a game
Oh my god.
called when they brought it to the U.S. It was called Bust a Move in 1994 on the PS1. Now, similar to like the mobile games of today, or like the old Dr. Mario, kind of like Candy Crush. Basically, it's pretty simple. What you're trying to do in the game is you have a whole bunch of dots that are different colors surrounding an object, and you have to throw similar colored dots at it and match them up. And then whenever there's 3 or more, it will eliminate them.
I just want to
Now, of
correct you
course, there's
that they're bubbles. I feel like they're
bubbles.
bubbles more than
They
they're
are
dots.
bubbles. That's why it's called puzzle bobble, like bubble, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. They are bubbles, whatever you want to call them. It's I need to try. I'm oversimplifying a very simple game already.
It's like Peggle.
This game is $20. Let me start with that. It's on Oculus Quest. It just released yesterday, and it's
Sold.
cute. They're relying heavily on cuteness because you got these cute little characters that give you these cute little bubbles that you shoot through this cute little slingshot. And to me, I'm a harsh critic, I guess. I've been in VR a long time. To me, that was about the depth of it. There is a story mode, but the story is these little comics, and you kind of have to perceive what's happening because there's no talking or anything. It's just like, oh, these 2 people were kidnapped, and now we have to like go after them by shooting these bubbles at this thing. Or there's infinite mode. There is a versus mode that might be really fun with your friends, but really, it's like so many other games like Tetris. If you like this kind of puzzle game, you're gonna like it. If you don't, there's gonna be nothing for you here. You literally are shooting bubbles at this thing, trying to get the highest point combo, trying to use the fewest turns. Really, the only strategy to it is you can switch bubbles with your friend who's handing you them. So if he has a red bubble and you have a blue, you can switch with him. And then when it pops the bubbles, that also has a trajectory that launches this object that they're all attached to, this dome that they're attached to, and it turns it. So if you got really good, you could plan ahead. You could say, okay, there's green all on that side. If I shoot these red ones, it's going to turn the object, and then I'll be able to get to these red ones. The problem was, though, unlike most games where you can pinpoint accuracy pretty well, I mean, I'm using the Quest controllers, which are good tracking, but I'm having to aim this long launch, and you can see this line arc. It shows you where it's going to go, but even the slightest hand wobble, and you might end up missing where you're trying to aim. Oh, I don't know.
Frustrating.
It's $20. That's kind of a lot for a game that's really just a VR version of a mobile game. Like, it's nothing I'm looking for. You might look at this and go, oh my gosh, this looks so cute and so fun. I want to play this. You might feel differently. But me personally, I found no excitement or joy in it so far. And I have to have a review out on it this weekend, and it's not going to go well. Well, you've been a long time proponent of PSVR. You're used to this. PSVR got so many things that were like experiences for money. In any way excite you?
I will say I was somewhat interested because I actually had played Super Bust a Move 2. I think it's on PS2. I'd played a little bit of that, but this really doesn't look like something that would be better in VR to me. Like this is a rare case where I actually think I'd prefer to play the non-VR version. Like they've kind of turned this 2D fun little mindless puzzle game into like Angry Birds? Don't you have a slingshot or something?
You have a slingshot. Yep. It's a weird way of shooting it because you're slingshotting, but you can see exactly where it's going to go. It shows you the path. It's more like, can I keep my hand still enough to actually make it hit the path I'm trying to? Because I mean, with how far out these bubbles are, if you're going to hit the bubble on one side of an object versus the other side, it's a very fine hand turn to make that change in correction. I really want to like find more. If it's driven by nostalgia, maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'd like that because it's something like it. But I was really struggling to find I pushed myself through 15 minutes of it, and I was like, how the heck am I going to play enough of this to give an honest review when I just found no joy in it?
I'm looking at the gameplay of it right now, and they make the mistake of I mean, shoot, we were just talking about this. VR shooters, when you're using a pistol, while it's fun and more intuitive, it also makes you very inaccurate. It's very hard to hold something steady, especially when it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. Because when you're holding a lighter pistol, or in this case a lighter controller, it doesn't have a lot of inertia to it, which means you can move it around very quickly, right? So when you're having to rely on like long distance aiming, and I think they would have been better served if they went Do you remember Steam Labs? One of the trial games is like you kind of launch like a catapult sort of thing, right? They should have gone that
Yeah.
route because you can be a
You
lot
grab
more
it with one
accurate.
hand, and yeah, it's mounted, it's solid. You grab it with one hand and aim it. Where this one, yeah, it's both hands. So even the little tiny bit of hand wobble I have is like, okay, this is enough, and it's screwing this up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they even tried that. Anyway, the game looks fun and poppy.
Yeah.
Could use better control system. Check out the trailer,
You-
guys. Maybe it'll interest you.
I would say at least wait for a sale, even if it kind of does. $20, I feel like might be a little much for this, but I could
Right.
be a hater. I bet you anything. I'm gonna go watch a bunch of other VR YouTubers review this, and they're just gonna absolutely adore it and think it's amazing, because that happens way too often. I'm starting to wonder if I'm just a negative person.
I think they just have low standards. All right.
Just something
Well,
I'm gonna wait for it to be $5 and then I'll go pick it up, see if I like it.
yeah,
I'd
exactly.
Yes,
almost
please.
rather turn on a CRT
Mhm.
TV and play the original.
Wait for it to warm up.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a much better looking game. I'm really excited to hear about this. Will, you've been playing Solaris. I'm gonna go with Solaris. Solaris Off-World Combat. It released on Oculus, PSVR, and Microsoft. Interesting. They didn't know anyone bothered with WMR releases these days. Will, what do you think of this? I was watching some of your gameplay footage. It looked kind of fun. What did you think?
No, I don't think I've actually played that one. I'm messing with you. All right.
It's like I was in the stream. Will, are you? You just
I was like,
never
did I get the name wrong?
mind.
I just saw you look down. That was great. You're like, what?
That was my like
Um,
fact checking myself real quick. Like,
yeah. Anyways, I think you got it right, by the way. It's Solaris Off-World
Okay.
Combat. It's basically like this 4v4 capture game, so you'll be, on different teams trying to capture points, stay in there. The more you're in there, the more points you get. It's like the first to 30 points, or get as many points before the time runs out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fast-paced shooter, so you'll die and you'll just be back in like 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
Uh, it's something I wasn't really expecting to like, but because I had heard mixed reviews from PC and Quest and whatnot, but once I played it, I couldn't stop. I had a great time.
Oh.
I just think though it's something that stands out more on PSVR because there's really only like 5 or 6 shooters on that headset that are worth playing,
Right.
and most of them are not as fast paced as this game. So it's really refreshing to
Mm-hmm.
try something like that.
Well, and you were playing on the aim controller too, right?
Yeah, so this is by First Contact. They're a developer that did Firewall, and so they're really good at doing aim support. And so yeah, all the controls are great, and the tracking's great, and they've nailed it in this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Yeah.
yeah,
Looking at footage, it kind of like it looks like almost like a Halo style, like where kind of not sci-fi, definitely sci-fi shooter. Um,
yeah,
not a super slow or fast time to kill, kind of like a medium time to kill. Um,
right,
that very very arcadey type of shooter. There's not a lot
yeah,
of those. VR definitely falls into the trap of trying to make all of its games extremely immersive. Well, not immersive, but like realistic, right?
No.
right.
Um, this game definitely doesn't bother with that. It looks like it's very flashy. It's very neon colors on um, not cell shading, but like polygon style. It looks. How does the game look actually? While I'm on that.
It looks pretty good for PSVR, I think. Everything looks pretty clear, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to tell if there's any major blur because most of the game is kind of just in these smaller areas, so it's not like you're
Right.
having to look off into the distance. But yeah, it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I wonder if it's getting some hate on PC and Quest because not all games nail two-handed guns super well.
Mm-hmm.
We
True.
were talking about this earlier. It's really hard because when I'm holding a gun, if it looks like in game my hands are this far apart, I can still pull my hands further and closer apart and still be holding the gun, and it'll make the gun do weird things. And knowing that First Contact's major big title before us was a PSVR aim controller game, I kind of wonder if that's like the best example, the best way to play this game, and other headsets
Right.
aren't going to feel the same. Because thinking about the way this game looks and knowing that, I feel like if I was going to go try and get this right now, I would probably get on PSVR and use the aim controller.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
just because I think it'd be a better experience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
I think I agree with you, Jay. It definitely looks like a game that should on PC come with like a peripheral.
Yeah, lock those guns in.
Yeah, like Tower Attack. Um, the infamous Tower Attack. Yeah, it looks like, for those that don't know, the Aim Pro it released early with the PlayStation VR. It's like it's basically like a gun-looking controller, but you can put two hands on it. It's got a joystick, right? It has a joystick. I've got that right.
Yeah,
There's
It has two
just
joysticks.
yeah,
Yeah,
two joysticks.
it
I don't
has
know.
everything a DualShock has on it, literally.
Yeah.
yeah.
Great controller, actually. I'm surprised if you don't have something standard like that for PC yet. Um, and I could easily see how a game like this. I mean, shoot, we just need this for VR shooters in general. Just a good, standardized aiming stick would be nice.
Right.
Yes, something you can enjoy. And
You
in
don't
our
want to use
chat,
the. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say in our chat, K27, who has a PSVR, is also saying the aim is basically required. Like you've got to
Yeah.
have the aim controller for it.
And it's
Well,
half off.
Yeah. Okay. That was I was gonna mention that. It's definitely worth it for $12. You can't really go wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it looks good. I guess I ought to try it if it's on Microsoft. Is it on? Well, hold up. Is it on Oculus Rift? Are they selling it there?
I actually think it might work well with the Vive ones. You should try that.
No.
that's always the way to go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like front and center if they're selling it on Oculus. It
Is it
says that.
Oculus Quest?
That's what I'm thinking.
PSVR and
I'm
Microsoft.
thinking that's what it is.
Ugh.
It is on Quest for sure.
The more that
Mhm.
happens, the more it hurts us all. I
Right.
have a Quest, and I still get frustrated when that happens.
Right.
Right.
A lot
It's
of
like
people
Resident Evil
own it.
4.
Oh no, nope. Here it is.
Oh, there you go.
Is it on sale on Oculus?
It's not on sale. It is $25 on Oculus. It's also like not featured at all. Like I had to search for it. Like it's not in the regular store anywhere.
Mm.
How bizarre. Well, anyway, it looks pretty good. I'm kind of jealous that this isn't the default thing on the Rift S. It looks fun. It looks fun. I'd like to try this with my janky VR stock.
See, on Quest, it's only got a 3.5-star rating
Yeah.
on the, or 3.7, I guess. So I just kind of like wonder. I feel like PSVR aim controller is really probably the right way to play this, and that's probably why people are just tearing it up over here, because that's not a good rating for a new game at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the problem with that is I hear the player base is dead. So really, if a shooter like that, gets those kind of reviews, it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna have a player base. It's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if it has crossplay?
I
No,
can
they're
check.
they're gonna add it, but
Okay.
it's not.
Hopefully they add it quick, because it is going to be dead on arrival on Quest and PC and stuff if they don't do
Yeah.
that quick. Especially since Steam doesn't have this yet. I
Right.
guess it's going to be coming to Steam, so that's tough to have a multiplayer shooter that segmented early on in its
Yeah.
life. This may end up being a PSVR thing, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these VR shooters, you gotta nail your releases. These are real simple mistakes you can't have early on. Otherwise, you're not gonna have a player space. You don't gain player bases these days on VR. You gotta like get it when you release. At least for shooters.
A27. He's just given us like a play-by-play in the chat. No crossplay yet. And I don't know if you guys know him. I'm sure Will does. But PSVR Frank,
I've heard of him.
he was like an early PSVR YouTuber. He actually he got a job because of his channel for First Contact, and he left YouTube and hasn't really been back since much. But he's the announcer, so you hear his voice announcing it
Yeah.
on the PlayStation version. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's something I didn't notice at first, but once you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that's Frank.
Yeah, that
You
was
can't
him.
unhear it.
That's a cool detail.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and move us on to our last game. I got to play I mean, I say I got to play like I was given a code or something. It's free to play. This game's free to play, guys. It's cards and tankards. It's very fun. First off, it's a if if you think back to your days on the playground with your Magic deck or your Pokemon deck or your Yu-Gi-Oh deck, or maybe you just weren't a nerd like me growing up.
I can't relate at all, but keep going.
This game's for you. Or if maybe as an adult you've gotten into card games. I struggle to see this game being too successful for those that aren't already into trading card games, because it doesn't bring a whole lot of new mechanic. I'll get into that in a minute. Let me go back to explaining the game. It's like it's like Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like Pokemon, it's like Magic the Gathering, it's like Hearthstone, it's like Runeterra. It's a trading card game. Except the gimmick this time is that you're playing it in VR, and it's a pretty cool gimmick as gimmicks go. You've got like the deck in your hands, you've got all your monsters and things in front of you in like 3D. They do attacks. They they they're all right looking. Um, but you're playing. But probably my favorite part of this is you're playing in a tavern that is got the tavern is a lobby. So you're playing with all these other people in the room. They're kind of hanging out, talking to each other, looking at cards, discussing strategies. When I was there, there were people actually organizing. Turns out there's a competitive scene for this game already. So it's got some popularity. Um, and they're talking about like the current meta for this game, the kinds of decks they've got, the kinds of decks that would counter those decks, and that's always really good to see for a trading card. This might be like Jace here's shaking his head. I might be saying words that completely go over people's heads here, but if you know what I'm talking about, hopefully this is starting to interest you, because it's got like it's got good features, but it also it's not blowing my mind in terms of like mechanics, right? It's got a very simple. Each monster has its attack points and its defense points. They like you send monsters to attack, and then they choose which ones to block, or they take damage to their health. It's a tried and true card game system as old as Yu-Gi-Oh itself. Um, it's it's not doing a whole lot of new mechanics for trading card games, and that's kind of where I started to like have an issue playing this game. The tavern was super cool. Being able to like kind of go find a table, start playing. People could come by and watch if they wanted. People could go wander off. It was a very, very cool atmosphere. That was like the best thing I had going for it. But the game itself, I wasn't too crazy about. The cards are cool. The monsters, not so much. They look pretty. They're fine. They're perfectly adequate. And honestly, when you've got a trading card game, I was really hoping for some exciting looking monsters, right? It's a trading card game. You want to be excited about your cards. I want it to be like, oh, this card looks sick. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Throw it on the table and the monster appears and be like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to play this card every game, right? And some real life trading card games, they have that, right? They have very, very good artists drawing very detailed cards. A large amount of people collect the cards not for the game, but just for the artwork and the lore. That's a large part of these trading card games, and it's missing here. So I was bummed about that. Like I said, the game mechanics super super simple. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but they're like every other one out there. If you're new to this genre, it'll be interesting, I suppose. But if you're used to trading card games, I mean, I don't really play them much anymore, but like I've played enough of them as a kid that I wasn't blown away. Um, and that's kind of it for this whole experience. It's not super fleshed out. That's kind of like all you can do is go into this tavern and play. They've got the competitive scene if you're interested. So I'm gonna put it to you guys now. Does this sound like a fun game, dear fellow hosts and guest?
Um, I don't have too much of an interest in trading card games, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, really, I used to have Pokemon when I was younger, but that
Right.
was really just for the trading component. It
Yeah.
was the popular thing at school. I
Mm-hmm.
liked how they looked. I'm like, oh, I got this character. Um, but yeah, so I don't really know whether or not I'd like it. It's something I'd probably consider on sale, maybe, just because I
Mm-hmm.
like to try just about anything in VR.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's early access right now, and it's free. So who knows if it'll come to PSVR or something.
Forgot.
But I'm with you, Will. The difference was in my house, like magic. That's evil. So like I never had a
Oh, that's
chance to get
right.
into these at all. But like looking at the picture here and something I'm wondering. So like this is VR. This is a game. You're in a gaming world. So when you throw your card down, does your little monster like come out and attack the other one? Is there any extra visual aspect, or is this seriously like you're playing with like a toy in a tavern? Is there
It's
nothing more to it?
it's very, very close to the latter. It being just a
Like
toy.
real
I
life?
mean, they like when you send yours to attack. I mean, it looks like probably the best example of it would be it looks like miniatures, like Warhammer miniatures, but not nearly as cool. Um, and they're on the little creatures on a pedestal or a wizard on a pedestal, but they're not super detailed. They look
Yeah.
very, very bland.
Mm.
They're not terrible actually, but they're just adequate, right? Um, and the only thing they do is when they attack, they have a no matter what you're doing, well, I mean, they don't have like multiple kinds of attacks, but they just do a little like swing their sword from like they're not next to anyone else. They just do a swing their sword animation and then a little
They just
number
stay on
appear,
their
and they
pedestal.
just stay on their pedestal, right?
Keep in mind this is early access. This could all change.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe they'll hear this, and maybe some of these ideas are already in the works. But uh, I would expect at least, like, I'd expect him to get off his pedestal and like walk across the table and smash the other character or
Mm-hmm.
something. I would at least expect that, but the game's not done, so we can't be too
Right.
harsh on that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
free, so
Right. Yeah, but I was definitely hoping for like what you're. I wanted I wanted my wizard to do some really cool looking magic spell across the table, and
yeah.
it would be like hella cool, right? I wanted that experience, and there wasn't a lot of that. It was so far the greatest part of this game is just the charm of being there and playing it. Um, in it keep in it, being able to have that experience is yeah, I mean, we're like slowly coming out of this whole pandemic thing, so this won't be as true pretty soon here. But at least for those that are still keeping themselves at home, this might be nice. You're not going to your local Magic the Gathering, uh, like Friday Magic, I think it is. That's very big community. People that go to their local spot and like just play pickup games of Magic the Gathering or whatever they like. This might be a good alternative or addition to the lives of people who like that kind of atmosphere, but it's not a terribly complex trading card game in and of itself.
But it's got the social side. It's got some interesting stuff with characters that you meet and people that you meet, but they need to flesh out the card game side of it. And that's probably kind of a symptom of the fact that they've made up this card game themselves. Like it's based on others, but this isn't Magic the Gathering VR. It doesn't have this complex background. So it sounds like hopefully coming out of early access we get more of that to it
Right.
from what I'm hearing from you. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. It's not something I'll probably ever get into, but it's interesting to hear that there's a side of it that could actually be, because I kind of always thought people probably do this stuff like in VR chat or something, like to have an
Right.
actual game that does it. As long as
Hmm.
they do it right, this could be big
Yeah.
because a lot of people play that.
And to give them credit, I didn't say the VR mechanics themselves are actually pretty good. Like it was super intuitive how to go through your hand when you're hovering like on a card. It like kind of enlarges itself slightly so you can read it
Nice.
better. Whenever the enemy plays a card to their right, a very big image of it appears, so you can like see its
Nice.
discrep. It's actually very well designed for a VR trading card game, if that makes sense. It doesn't have anything flashy, which was unfortunate. I wanted to see flashy, but mechanically, on a base level, it was everything I would expect from a VR trading game.
Nice.
Which was nice, except for teleporting. The teleporting system was awful. I had no idea
Oh.
where I'd end up.
And that was the only option. You had to teleport from table to table or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Ooh. Okay. Early access, we'll give them a chance to fix that.
yeah.
Please. Let people wander around. I want to go look at stuff in the bar. I don't want to just
Mm.
watch people play this game. I want to go wander around the bar too.
I mean,
So
you can like teleport yourself freely if that makes sense.
yeah.
But it's just like it's just got like a green line that like kind of arcs down onto the floor, and it's doesn't really ever go where I think it's gonna happen. Like I've tried to like put myself close to a door so I can open it, and I find myself like halfway through the door already, and I have to like awkwardly pull it behind me to get it to open and load the next area. Sort of a deal. Very rough teleporting, but that's about it. Everything else mechanically. I will say if you're planning on getting this game, it's the kind of game where you're going to be reaching out with things in front of you. So like sit at the back of your play space. Because I had made the mistake of being like kind of the center, and I'd be like kind of reaching into my desk, my real life desk, as I'm trying to move things around on the table. You're gonna need a bit of space. You don't need like a huge play area, but if you were to like put your hands, if those watching the podcast, you can just see what I'm doing. But for those listening, just kind of make a little V in front of you, outstretch your arms. You want at least that much space in front of you. Very, very good amount. Very. Jeez.
I
Record
try to do that
GPA.
and I hit my water bottle on my desk.
Um,
Well, I think that it's funny that every game we talked about today has some sort of multiplayer aspect.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of becoming a lot more standard in VR now. But
Mhm.
we're still always having to have this discussion with every game of like, does it have crossplay? Is there gonna
yeah.
be a player base?
Right.
And that's still driving me crazy. I feel like we don't have enough people in VR, and something that the VR industry has kind of been doing wrong. I feel like is we always like look at the gaming industry and like we need to do what the gaming industry does, but the VR industry is like the gaming industry was 20 years ago. You know, there's not enough people that every game can have a 50v50 match or something, and it'll just work on whatever platform. In the early days of gaming, a lot of games were 1v1, and that was the online multiplayer you were going to have. That was what you expected. And we could do 1v1s with these games, but why are we still not fighting harder for crossplay? Why are these games coming out not on every platform at the same time and just shooting themselves in the foot with not having enough people together? What do you think? Well, you're mostly a PSVR guy, so you probably feel the sting of this a lot more even than others. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's often kind of like a gap or in multiplayer games where it'll release and then, a week or two later it either succeeds, which is rare, or it, dies. So I think crossplay, if that could become more standard, that could really help uh all platforms really, but specifically PSVR since there's already not too many multiplayer games we can play and a lot of them are dying out, so I think that could really help if that's a more, mainstay feature.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. We've been talking a while. This has been a nice, healthy, long podcast. Excuse me, long podcast. But we've been gone for a while. There'd been a lot to touch up on, some really big news, especially with those headsets. Um, but thank you for tuning in, guys. Live stream will be here afterwards if you guys have any questions. But for those listening in or watching this after the fact, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out our Discord server. That's where we talk, hang out with you guys. We're always there, always looking for new comments, and we love to interact with you guys. Don't be afraid. Say hi. We also have our Patreon. Um, that's anyone who is a Patreon member gets absolute. I mean, unless you ask really really bad questions, you pretty much guarantee yourself a spot on the Q&A. So consider joining the Patreon for that privilege. In the meantime, thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for watching the live stream. If that's where you were, we will see you all on the next podcast. So real quick, thank you again, Will, for showing up today. Lovely to have you, as
Thanks for
always.
having me.
Of course. We will see you guys on the next podcast. Have a good one.
Bye.
And stop. Actually, I don't have to do any of that anymore. It's all you.
Yep.
Woo. I didn't eat dinner before this, and I'm excited about eating dinner.
Yeah. Well, real
Uh,
quick, is anyone still in the live stream? Towards the end there, we teetered out
Kind
on
of
viewers.
popping off, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
pretty
know
typical.
K27 was chatting in there, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a while to hang out. So if you're still here, let us know. But if not, we can let Will get back to his stack of card trading games that he likes and to
Yep.
do in his real life.
We had to beg him to stop playing.
I'm sorry I sold him.
Well, that's just cheating, Will. You can ask yourself questions now.
You know what I actually have been doing over the past 2 days more than I should have been?
What?
I wasn't feeling very good yesterday, and so I was like, I'm just gonna chill today. I'm gonna like play a game on the couch or something. And I started playing Stranded Deep.
Hmm.
Man, that is the most tedious survival game I've ever played, and
Yeah.
yet I just keep playing it for some reason. I'm not even sure if I'm enjoying the game or if I just want to like conquer it,
Right.
but it is something else. If you haven't played it, it's like I don't even know. It's kind of like Raft and Minecraft and like several others rolled into one, and it's just
Huh.
so terrible.
Is
That's
that the
the one
one?
that's.
Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Is it the one that's like the you're on like a raft or something and there's like sharks and shit like
So
that?
no, that's Raft. This is
Oh,
like
okay.
that. It's kind of almost like but instead you plane crash and then there's an island nearby that you go to, and like you got to figure out how to survive off these little tiny islands, and you
Oh,
go
okay.
between the islands.
Looking
So
at it
like
now.
yeah,
Oh
your first
wow,
island.
this is an old one. I remember when this thing released. This was like,
Well, now it just became free on PSN, I want to say, for some
Yeah.
reason.
oh,
But it still feels kind of like it's early access in ways. Like
I mean,
the
all these
the
games do.
yeah, the animals have like no AI, uh, and stuff, but it's so tedious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And yet I just keep playing it. And I'm like, why are you playing this?
It got an update on May 17th. New item piles and storage improvements.
Yeah, the
So
PC might have the because I was reading about it today, and the PlayStation version isn't exactly the same. It's some things are behind too. So like
mm,
you have to have two of these plants to make poison antidote, where on the PC you only have to have one. These plants are like the hardest thing to find. So if you get poisoned, you're just kind of effed.
right. What's going on? Wish I had a cool name.
Well, hey, Wish.
Don't worry, Wish. You've got a cool name.
I
Yeah, this. Oh, are you gonna be playing Subnautica, the new one, Below Zero, I think it is? 'Cause
was thinking
that's
about when people said there's a VR mod that gives it like full native compatibility. I was thinking about that because I tried to play the first one in VR, and you could tell it was not made for it. Like
right,
there were things you just weren't going to be able to do in VR. So if someone like me who's never played it, it just wasn't going to be approachable in
right.
VR.
I wonder if
Uh,
I can like uh review. I want to like sort the reviews by people that like played it in VR, if that's even a thing.
yeah, I doubt it. But I wanted to watch a video or two before I looked into it. But if there's really like full native VR and it really works, I would love to, because Subnautica would be like my game if I still played flat games, and that's why I'm kind of frustrated with myself too that I'm playing Stranded Deep of all games. Like I should be playing Subnautica. I have Subnautica. Why am I playing this stupid island simulator?
I heard the this mod for Below Zero is much better than that first Subnautica, which I agree with you on. I remember I loaded that up for like 5 minutes and it was really choppy. I don't know if that was my computer, but I was like, I'm not playing this.
It was everything to do it. There were certain things you like couldn't do certain functions, so you were going to be screwed when it came to certain parts of the game. Yeah, it just this new one, I am tempted to go for that. I have so much going on all the time. It's hard to take on a game that big.
Right. But
But
yeah,
it's
I'd
like,
still I would much rather you play Subnautica flat, Stranded Deep or whatever
Hmm.
it's called. That is much better. Like I, even though I didn't play with VR, Subnautica is it's definitely one of my favorite survival games.
I don't think I meant to. Like I was just gonna check it out, and there's something about it that just keeps me playing it. I'm like, why are you doing this? It's almost torture to play the game. Like it's so hard to live. Like, and that's why maybe that's why I'm playing it. I don't know, but I know I can't ask myself, why am I not playing something better than this if I'm gonna sit here and play something? But even as I sit here, I want to go play it more. It's weird.
Hmm. The game is scary in VR, very scary. I know. I've been meaning to play it. I don't know yet if I'm gonna play Subnautica in VR or not. Probably not. But I've been
If
meaning
you're
to
gonna play
try
the
it.
original, no, you'd have to do this new mod. Does the mod work for the original version too, or is it only for Below Zero? Because that's what I thought. I thought it's
just
only
for
for
Below Zero.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Hmm. Wait. What's only for Below Zero?
This new
The
VR mod,
yeah.
Uh
it's really good.
oh, Subnautica Below Zero, I believe, just does it not? I could have sworn it just had VR support. Guess I was wrong on that.
Supposedly people say, well, what I read, I haven't read that far into it, but they said this mod gives it native support. So I'm not really sure if it has it built in, it hasn't launched, and they like unlocked it with the mod. I don't know. I haven't looked that far. It's been on my list, but I've been feeling just so behind.
Let me look
I
at.
have to. I actually have to do a review on Boxed In. Well, have you played that yet?
I have not, but I've got to review it also.
Ugh.
I'm like, oh man, I am so behind on reviews.
I gotta stop. Every time someone reaches out to me, it's like, I'll give you a code. I'm like, oh, yes. And then it's like, why am I taking some of these codes on these games that just don't look like something I should be spending my time on? I know that's terrible to say, but it's tough.
It is what it is.
I got that Alt Deus like visual novel thing.
Oh my
and
God,
I'm
they
like,
keep, yeah, they
I'm
keep
over on-
emailing me about it. I'm like, oh God, I've had these emails for like months and I haven't done anything with it.
I actually thought the first one was pretty good, like the Tokyo Chronos, but I'm still like over a month late on this review. I haven't even started it, so I need to get caught up on that before I review Boxed In. I actually think that'll be fun though. That sounds better than Puzzle Bobble or whatever it's called.
I know, and I thought this was going to be a big deal because some of the videos I saw that people were putting out, it looked like it was going to be kind of cool. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll take a code on that. And now I'm like, God, I wish I hadn't taken this code from them because now I feel like I owe them, a video tearing their game up. And, and, but it's like, dang, sometimes I get away if it's like really bad. I like email them and I'm like, is there something wrong? Because I'm really having a bad experience. They're like, you don't have to review it now. It's like maybe I should just tell them, hey, I don't like this, and they'll let me off the hook.
I should probably try that. I usually just have to send some awkward email like, thanks for letting me try it out. I had some issues though.
Yeah. I just don't tell them when the video's up if I tore it up and I let them find it instead.
Right. I mean, that's just like the VR, the amount of VR developers that like are making serious like good games with like a good amount of QA. It's just so small. It's so small. It was basically just Half-Life Alyx and then a select few Oculus titles that had like a budget behind it that I hope that one day we'll get out of this trap.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time. That's the thing. People keep thinking we should be like the full gaming industry. It's like there's billions of dollars behind the gaming industry. The VR is still passion projects mostly.
Yeah.
And passion projects are not usually super well funded.
No, they are not. I've been meaning still. There's like so many of the like standard Oculus titles I still need to pick up and play.
Like Asgard's Wrath.
Exactly, Asgard's Wrath.
I was supposed to get it. I was supposed to get it free because you were supposed to get it for free if you bought a Quest 2, but then I like messaged support to get it, and then they asked me a billion questions, so I didn't respond. I was like, "Gah, I know I could get this $40 game for free if I had just responded," but it was like so annoying. Like I already gave you all the proof that I bought a Quest 2. Why are you making me fight to get this from you? It's kind of Oculus's thing.
Yeah, this is why I will never ever recommend an Oculus product. Because they're awful.
Yeah, I'm pretty mad Resident Evil 4 is not going to be on Rift. Now I'm like, oh, am I about to spend $300 on a Quest 2 for this one game?
No.
It would be worth it in my opinion, man. That Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and this looks like it's gonna be exactly it in VR. I mean, I'm so glad I have a Quest 2. But if I didn't, I would be buying one for this game. This would be like Grand Theft Auto 5 coming only to Quest 2 to me.
Yeah.
Like that's how big of a deal this is.
Wish I had a cool name. It says Atlas needs to make a VR game. Who's Atlas? Atlas with a U.
Oh, guess who made that game I was talking about? The puzzle game, Rip.
Servios.
Yeah.
Who?
Servios.
Who's that?
Creed, Speed, Sprint Vector. What's that
Tons
other game?
of VR games. Somewhat, although weren't they the ones that flopped the other Walking Dead game? Was that Servios?
Yeah.
The Onslaught one that was terrible.
They had a good track record too. Now
yeah, they did.
A little bit.
Atlas does they did like Persona 5 and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I should have that. Wish loved that. Wish loves them.
Yeah.
Or do they do Persona 5 spin-offs? Wait a second.
No, they do the main games.
Okay, cool.
I've only played 5, but it's hard to go through a game like that. It's like 100 hours
Mhm.
long.
All right, I need to get going here. Got some other responsibilities I need to get to, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you who are remaining, we always love your company. I see someone just joined too. I'm like, I'm
Oh
sorry.
no. Sorry.
Arrived a little late. We will catch you guys next podcast. I'll try and announce it a little bit earlier, so maybe even do I was very close to seeing if we could get a premiere set up for this one. I just decided not to have that headache this weekend or today. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Let me know when the end stream has been clicked.
It has been clicked.